Hello bachcho, good morning. We have started this lesson The Enemy, written by Pearl S. Buck. We have read about Dr. Sadao, who were studying his medicine and surgery in America. Now he lives with Hannah, who is his wife. After that, clouds were rising from the ocean. Now the unexpected warmth of the past few days had at night drawn heavy puff from the cold waves. Sada was mist hide outlines of a little island near the shore and then come creeping up the beach below the house. Writhing around the pines, clouds were rising from the ocean now. It means it was now becoming dark. Sada watched mist hide outline. Yes, because of mist, there was a little island in the ocean, which they used to see, but now that island is not visible because of mist. In a few minutes, fog would be wrapped about the house too. Then he would go into the room where Hannah, his wife, would be waiting for him with the two children. But at this moment, the door opened and she looked out, a dark blue woolen howry over her kimono. She came to him affectionately and put her arm through his as he stood, smiled and said nothing. He had met Hannah in America, but he had waited to fall in love with until was sure she was Japanese. His father would never have received her unless she had been pure in her race. He wondered often whom he would have married if he had not met Hannah. So we have read this. They met by chance at an American professor's house who was very kind. Sada had often told Hannah how nearly he had not gone to Professor Harler's house that night. The room was so small, the food so bad, and the professor's wife so valuable. Now, he felt her hand on his arm and was aware of the pleasure it gave him. Even though they had been married years enough to have two children, for they had not married heedlessly in America. They had finished their work at school and had come home to Japan, and when his father had seen her, the marriage had been arranged in the old Japanese way. So they were not in a hurry, and marriage was done in the in his country in Japanese way. Although Sada and Hannah had talked everything over beforehand, they were perfectly happy. She laid her cheek against his arm. It was at this moment that both of them saw something black came out of the mist. It was a man. He was flung up out the ocean, flung, it seemed, to his feet by a breaker. He staggered a few steps, body outlined against the mist, his arms above his head. Then the curled mist hid him again. "Who is that?" Hannah cried. She dropped Sadao's arm and they both leaned over the railing of the veranda. Now they saw him again. The man was on his hand. and knees. Crawling, then they saw him fall on his face and lie there. A fisherman, perhaps Sadao said, watched from his boat. He ran quickly down the steps and behind him. So he said that probably he is a fisherman. Hannah came, her wide sleeves flying. A mile or two away on either side, there were fishing villages, but here only the bare and lonely coast, dangerous with rocks. The surf beyond the beach was spiked with rocks. Somehow the man had managed to come there. He must be badly torn. They saw when they came toward him that indeed it was so. The sand on one side of him had already stained a red soaking through. He is wounded, Sadao exclaimed. He made haste to the man who lay motionless, his face in the sand, an old cap stuck to his head, soaked with sea water. He was in wet rags of garments. Sadao stopped Hannah at his side and turned the man's head. They saw the face of white man. Hannah whispered. Hannah said, "Oh, this is white man, miss. This was white man, American." Yes, it was a white man. The wet cap fell away and there was his wet yellow hair, long as though for many weeks it had not been cut, and upon his young and tortured face was a rough yellow beard. So his hair was yellow color and his beard was also yellow color. He was unconscious and knew nothing that they did for him. Now Sada remembered the wound, and with his expert fingers he began to search for it. Blood flowed freshly at his touch. On the right side of his lower back, Sadao saw that a gun wound had been reopened. So because Sadao was very expert doctor, so very soon he finds that there was a gun wound. The flesh was blackened with powder. Sometime, not many days ago, the man had been shot and had not been tended. Yes, so now Sada was knowing that a few days ago, means 1 or 2 days ago, this man was shot bullet, and this bullet has not been removed. It was a bad chance that the rock had struck the wound. Oh, how he is bleeding, Hannah whispered again in a solemn voice. The mist screened them now completely, and at this time of day no one came up by. The fishermen had gone home, and even the chance beachcombers would have considered the day at an end. What shall we do with this man? Sadao muttered. Sadao said what we should do, but his trained hands seemed of their own will to be doing what they could to stand the fearful bleeding. He packed the wound with the sea moss and stripped the beach. The man moaned with pain in his stupor, but he did not awaken. So, although Sada was saying that what we should do, but at the same time he was helping this man and he was stopping the blood because this man was bleeding. So Sada was trying to stop the blood flow. The best thing that we could do would be to put him back in the sea, Sada said, answered himself. Sada said we should put this man into the sea. Now that the bleeding was stopped for the moment, he stood up and dusted the sand from his hands. Yes, undoubtedly that would be best, Hannah said steadily. But she continued to stare down at the motionless man. If we sheltered a white man in our house, we should be arrested, and if we turned him over as a prisoner, he would certainly die, Sada said. So Sada was, this is the dilemma here. At this point, Sada said that if we give shelter to this man, it will be a kind of treason, and we will be arrested. And suppose we leave him, then what will happen? then this white man will die. The kindest thing would be to put him back into the sea, Hannah said. But neither of them moved. They were staring with curious repulsion from the inert figure. Although Hannah was also saying that we should put this man into the sea, but both were motionless. Both were knowing that they were doing something wrong. What is he? Hannah whispered. There is something about him that looks American, Sadav said. He took up the battered cape. Yes, they are almost gone, was the faint lettering. A sailor, he said, from an American warship. He spelled it out US Navy. The man was a prisoner of war. So now Dr. Sada was knowing who was this man. Probably this was a war prisoner. He was from US Navy. He was a sailor, and he was a sailor who was probably fled from the custody of Japanese. He has escaped, Hannah cried softly, and that is why he is wounded. In the back, Sadav agreed. They hesitated, looking at each other. Then Hannah said with resolution, "Come, we are able to put him back into the sea. If I am able, are you?" Sadav asked. "No," Hannah said, "but if you can do it alone." Sadav hesitated again. "The strange thing is," he said, "that if the man were whole, I could turn him over to the police without difficulty." Sadav said, "If the person would be fit and fine, there would not be any difficulty to hand over him to police. But at this time, the person is wounded and he needs treatment. That's why I am hesitating. I can nothing for him. He is my enemy. All Americans are my enemy, and he is only a common fellow. You see how foolish his face is. But since he is wounded, so Sadav says that he is my enemy because he is American. But he is wounded. You also cannot throw him back to the sea," Hannah said. "Then there is only one thing to do. We must carry him into the house." But the servant Sadav inquired. "We must simply tell them what we intend to give him to the police." "Indeed we must." So Hannah said, "What we will say to servants?" Sadav said, "We will simply tell them that after the treatment, we will surrender this person to police." "Sadav, we must think of the children and your position. If it would endanger all of us if we did not give this man over as a prisoner of war." "Certainly," Sadav agreed. "I would not think of doing anything else." Thus agreed. Together they lifted the man. He was very light, like a fowl. They had been half-starved for a long time, until it is only feathers and skeleton. Yes, so this person was very light because he was not getting proper food for many days. That's why he was half-starved. So he was now left with only skeleton. So his arms hanging, they carried him up the steps into the side of the door of the house. The door opened into a passage, and down the passage they carried the man towards an empty bedroom. It had been the bedroom of Sadav's father. So Sadav's father always hated Americans. So when they carried this man, they carried and they went direct to the bedroom of Sadav's father. And since his death, it had not been used because this bed was free and it was not being used by anyone. They laid the man on the deeply matted floor. Everything here had been in Japanese to please the old man, who would never in his own time sit on a chair or sleep in a foreign bed. Anna went to the wall cupboard and slid back a door and took out a soft quilt. She hesitated. The quilt was covered with flowered silk and lining was pure white silk. "He should ulti," she murmured in distress. "Yes, he had better be washed," Sadav agreed. "If you will fetch hot water, I will wash him." So Sadav said, "Fetch me hot water, I will wash him." "I cannot bear for you to touch him," she said. "We shall have to tell the servants he is here. I will tell Yumi now. She can leave the children for a few minutes and she can wash him." So Hannah said, "I will not touch this man? I will say to maid servant Yumi, and probably Yumi will wash this man. Sada considered a moment. Let it be so, he agreed. You tell Yumi and I will tell the others. But the utter pallor to the man's unconscious face moved him first to stoop and feel his pulse. It was faint, but it was there. He put his hand against the man's cold breast. Heart was too yet alive. So his pulse was running, his heart was going on. His heart was alive. He will die unless he is operated on, Sada said. Sada said he need operation very early, otherwise he will die. The question is whether he will not die anyway. The question is he will die. He will die either this way or that way, either here or there. Hannah cried out in fear, don't try to save him. What if he should live? Hannah said, why you want to save him? We should not save him. He should not live. What if he should die? Sada replied. He stood gazing down on the motionless man. This man must have extraordinary vitality, or he would have been dead by now. This man has some potency, that's why he is still alive, otherwise he must have died till now. But then he was very young, perhaps not yet 25. And this man is very young. This man is just below 25 years. You mean die from the operation? Hannah asked. Yes, Sada said. Sada said, yes, we will do operation, and during operation he may die. Hannah considered this doubtfully, and when she did not answer, Sada turned away. At any rate, something must be done with him, he said. And first he must be washed. Today we have read this, and the remaining story we will discuss in my next class. Thank you.